Welcome in everyone. All right, guys. Today we're going to be showing some highlights from the hurricane in the Caribbean island. Very devastating. All right. This is in Barbados, guys.
That system is still expected to bring life-threatening conditions to Jamaica in the form of high winds and flooding rain. News 6's Mark Lehman is following the latest and joins us here in the studio. Mark, Beryl could make landfall in Jamaica within the next few hours.
Yeah, people living on the island have been stocking up on supplies, boarding up, and getting ready for a potentially devastating impact. There's a lot of concern after seeing what the deadly storm has already brought other parts of the Caribbean. Supermarkets were crowded across Jamaica yesterday as the island has been preparing for the impact of Hurricane Beryl.
I'm encouraging all Jamaicans to take the hurricane as a serious threat. It is, however, not a time for panic.
The powerful storm is expected to bring life-threatening winds and storm surge to Jamaica. Redford Jeffrey lives in Kingston and spoke with News 6's Emily McLeod about the situation there.
Some supermarkets, the shelves are empty, so people are purchasing food. People are cutting down trees that are hanging over their homes.
Beryl has left 6 dead in the Caribbean so far. As a Category 4, it was the strongest hurricane on record to ever pass through the Grenadines.
Numerous of our citizens have lost their roofs and do not have any shelter over their heads.
And with Jamaica at risk of severe damage, those here at home are also thinking of ways to provide relief after the storm hits.
Yeah, we're all very, very concerned and frightened for family, friends in Jamaica.
The Jamaican American Association of Central Florida says they'll be working to get help to the island. We put their details under this story on clickorlando.com. Meanwhile, we're continuing to track the storm as it approaches Jamaica. Bridget.
All right, Mark. While that hurricane will not impact our weather, it will cause some trickle-down problems with the economy. Experts predict Beryl could lead to a spike in gas prices. That estimate is about 5 to 10 cents a gallon over the next week because the storm will disrupt operations possibly at Gulf Coast oil refineries as it moves closer to the Texas-Mexico borders. Now, meantime, the hurricane is impacting travel plans as well for millions who were scheduled to spend the 4th in the Caribbean, and several cruise companies have been forced to reroute to avoid the dangerous weather. And the best way to keep up to date this hurricane season is with our News 6 Pinpoint Hurricane Tracker app. You can get the latest updates and learn when anything develops or changes. It's free to download, and you can adjust your notifications on that as well. Search WKMG in your app store.
What if your smile could go from looking like this to this? Would you be more confident? Would you laugh a little louder? Would you finally open your mouth and express how happy you really are in your family photos? Well, I'm proud to say that Nuvia Dental Implant Center has restored.
Hi there, everyone. I'm ABC 13 meteorologist Elise Smith. We are keeping a close eye on the tropics early this Wednesday morning with a tropical update for you from overnight. Hurricane Beryl, still a massive storm churning across the Caribbean. And today it's expected to impact Jamaica into the morning and afternoon hours. Now you can see this latest satellite scan of Beryl. We're missing the eye. still a powerful Category 4 hurricane, but this hurricane this morning is running into some wind shear, so it's not as organized, not as much of a clear satellite picture, but that doesn't mean that some big impacts are on the way for Jamaica and also potentially the Cayman Islands, where they have hurricane warnings now out for the island. You can see Beryl, still a Category 4 storm with winds of 145 miles per hour, gusts up to 185 miles per hour, expected to make landfall in Jamaica today, potentially as the Category 4 or even 3 hurricane, still a major hurricane. Then it's going to continue to march its way across the Caribbean Sea to the Yucatan Peninsula, where we already have hurricane watches out there from Cozumel to Cancun, where later Thursday into early Friday morning, we could potentially see landfall along the Yucatan of Beryl as potentially a Category 1 or 2 hurricane. From there, the storm, as it moves overland, it is likely going to weaken, could potentially see it weaken to a tropical storm as it makes its way into the Bay of Campeche and into the Gulf. Again, this track, the cone of uncertainty, far extending now to next weekend, or this weekend, I should say, and does include the Texas coast in that cone of uncertainty, does not include Southeast Texas, but that doesn't mean we still could potentially see impacts from Beryl, as that track is still going to be impacted potentially by how Beryl interacts with Jamaica and the Yucatan this week. Some of our outline computer models still kind of push the storm closer to Corpus Christi, so that's definitely something to keep an eye on, but knowing that there's still a high level of uncertainty with the end of that track. And that's because of the 2 weather systems that could also influence Beryl from the north. We have 2 heat domes that are going to be setting up this weekend, one over the west coast, one over Florida. That's the one that's been over our heads this week. And between the 2, Beryl could potentially get pulled farther north, closer to the Texas coast. So that's why you see a bend in that track once the system begins to move into the Gulf. Now, as for wind shear, this is something we're going to be keeping a close eye on because Beryl has been impacted by wind shear already overnight, and it didn't weaken that much as in the latest update. However, Beryl is going to see land impacts and wind shear impacts today, which is why we have the storm weakening as it moves farther west across the Caribbean Sea, and why we could potentially see a landfall as a Cat 2 or a Cat 1 near Cancun and Cozumel later this week. Then once we get into the Bay of Campeche, we'll have to see where that system is steered. So again, the key messages for today, this morning, Wednesday morning, as we're recording this at about 4 a.m., Beryl is still a very powerful storm, even when it's interacting with things that should weaken it, like wind shear. And Jamaica is going to feel the brunt of the system today, and how the storm moves over the island and the wind shear around the island, it's going to influence the path of that storm later this week. So the Yucatan Peninsula, that's another test for Beryl, as it's going to have potentially another landfall on Friday. And then as for impacts to the Texas coast, we are now starting to see some more consistent signs that that pull to the north, that jog to the north in the Gulf is possible. But it doesn't necessarily mean a direct hit for Houston at this point, but we still got to keep our guard up with that. And besides Beryl, we have one other area of interest we're watching right now. It's that same area that we've been keeping an eye on that's in Beryl's wake, but now has a very low chance of development, only a 10 to 20% chance of that over the next 7 days. But I'll leave you with this. Beryl, the main story, still a powerful Category 4 storm. We are expecting updates from the National Hurricane Center at 4 a.m. and at 7 a.m. this morning, and we'll be sure to keep you posted here at ABC 13.
Now you can sell this $12 banana phone stand on Amazon and compete with hundreds of other banana phones.
puncturing schools in the Grenadines and slamming the coast with wave after wave of damage and debris. Similar snapshots are pouring in from places like Grenada and the island of Carriacou, where the National Hurricane Center says Beryl made landfall as an extremely dangerous system, producing catastrophic winds and life-threatening storm surge. Grenada's prime minister offering a sobering assessment and warning.
We have reports of extensive storm surge. We have reports of extensive loss of roof and damage to buildings. There is the likelihood of even greater damage.
As palm trees bend and storm surge floods communities across the Caribbean, making large boats bob up and down in Barbados, an even more jaw-dropping vantage point from space. The International Space Station revealing Beryl's monstrous footprint. As hurricane hunters offer an eerie glimpse from inside the eye of a system sustaining 150-mile-an-hour winds. White-knuckle moments for residents still in harm's way, from Union Island in Martinique to Carriacou.
Those are the areas that are most threatened now with both those devastating Category 4 winds as well as the storm surge of 6 to 9 feet above normal tide levels.
Meteorologists now keeping a close eye on countries like Jamaica, currently under a hurricane watch. As nearby Turks and Caicos issues this urgent warning to students, in the interest of their health and safety, the country is organizing a charter to bring them home before Beryl strikes. The scary situation to our south coming as Americans have been dealing with significant but far less serious cycles of severe weather. Tonight, more than 4,000 delays at airports nationwide on the heels of Sunday's 9,000 and thousands more cancellations, creating chaos.
And Sam Brock joins us now from our Miami bureau. Sam, talk to us about what officials are saying in terms of the damage Beryl has already caused.
Right. So, Ellison, right now, we're kind of getting these smatterings of updates, largely because the communication networks are really compromised right now. We did hear from the Prime Minister of Grenada earlier today. You saw a little bit of a snippet of that press conference that was over social media. He did go on to say that the island of Carriacou, he believes, is flattened, right, after only about 30 minutes or so of hurricane activity. He also said that neighboring Petite Martinique has likely suffered extreme damage, and that as soon as he has the capability that it is safe for him to travel to those islands to assess the damage, he will, while at the same time, Jamaican officials right now are warning people on the southern part of the island that they're very likely to be vulnerable to extreme flooding, and that if they need rescues, it's likely not coming because all those aircraft and boats and police vehicles are going to be secured for the hurricane. So he's putting everyone on full notice right now. I will leave you with this. One of the scariest parts about all of it is the fact that Beryl went from a tropical depression to a major hurricane in 42 hours. That has only happened, Ellison, 6 times in the history of the Atlantic Basin when it concerns hurricanes. It portends, obviously, very negatively for the season to come. Wow. Ellison.
Sam Brock, thank you.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow
You can hear the panic, but only imagine the terror. Hurricane Beryl is a history maker in all the wrong ways. Never has a storm this severe hit this early in the year. Several people died as winds of 165 miles per hour pummeled islands across the Eastern Caribbean.
We're really just hoping for the best, and all around me there were houses in the village. Their roofs were flying past. You could see it passing.
Beryl has weakened, but only ever so slightly, as it moves west from Grenada. But it is now on course for a direct hit on Jamaica on Wednesday, bringing life-threatening hurricane-strength winds. It is expected to ease somewhat before it hits the Cayman Islands on Thursday and Mexico south of Cancun on Friday. This was the queue in Jamaica's Montego Bay for the supermarket as people stocked up on supplies. This is the definition of the calm before the storm. There's barely a breeze in the air here. It's hard to believe that in a matter of hours, this place will almost certainly be in the grips of its worst hurricane in decades. Many climate scientists believe warming ocean temperatures are to blame for such rapidly intensifying storms. The Prime Minister of Jamaica agrees.
While our carbon emissions are minuscule, our region bears the brunt of the impacts of climate change. The hurricane further highlights the urgent need for global climate action and targeted support to enhance resilience against the escalating dangers of climate change.
Between 4 and 7 major hurricanes are expected from now to November. Normally, there would be 3. Beryl could just be a taste of what's to come. Martha Kellner, Sky News, Kingston, Jamaica.
Maximum sustained winds up to 145 miles per hour. Latest stats here from the National Hurricane Center, moving west-northwest at 20, and that's not good as Jamaica is right here. And here is the center of Hurricane Beryl and just off to the southeast. So with that direction heading toward Jamaica. This is, of course, a record-setting hurricane, the earliest Category 4 and 5 we've had in the Atlantic Basin, with ocean surface temperatures way above normal for this time of the year, more typical of August or September, which is typically the peak of the hurricane season. So from here, here's the latest track from the National Hurricane Center. There you can see it skipping along the south coast of Jamaica, and this is kind of a bad side of the storm, or there that can be some even bigger impacts. And this is for later on this afternoon. Next couple of days, it moves over the open waters of the Caribbean and heading towards the Yucatan Peninsula, possibly as a Category 2 hurricane as we head into Friday. That's very close to Cozumel and Cancun, and then moving over the peninsula the rest of the day Friday. Now, Saturday, as we head into the weekend, starting to move into the Gulf of Mexico. For now, high pressure to the north is keeping this storm suppressed to the south. If that area of high pressure moves to the east and weakens a little quicker, we could have a bit of a north turn. So right now, the official forecast puts it near the border of Mexico and the United States, far southern Texas, possibly after weakening a bit down to a Category 1 hurricane. So yes, there could be some mainland impacts from Hurricane Beryl as we head into Sunday. From there, a little too far out to say what exactly the impacts will be, but a heads up there for Texas. It looks like we could see some impacts by late in the weekend.
maybe take them in. So let's get to the latest on this. Winds right now 145 miles per hour or 235 kilometers an hour. It is moving to the west-northwest at about 20 miles per hour. or 32 kilometers an hour. So that's not necessarily slow. That's a good thing. Keeps moving. I do expect further weakening. And I want to say that with caution. It's going to weaken some before it moves in today. That's all relative. This thing was a Cat 5 down to a Cat 4. It should be a Cat 2 or Category 3 major hurricane as it impacts Jamaica today and then makes its way toward the Cayman Islands. You can see it here, and I'm not losing sight of the Dominican Republic and especially Haiti, just like we talked about yesterday.
This is why I stopped shopping on Amazon, and you should too. Don't spend another dime on Amazon until you watch this.
Very heavy rain south side of Haiti, watching those river crossings. We're going to see runoff. We're going to see some extreme flooding. If you're in Haiti, keep me posted as we go throughout the day, even back toward parts of the DR with some of the rain that is moving in. But on track, and you can see it here, it stayed south of Puerto Rico, moving toward Jamaica. This blob here moving into Barbados, still not organized. I don't lose sight of that either. That's an area of disturbed weather. I'm not seeing development out of that, but that is going to bring some increased rain to the Eastern Caribbean. So I want to track where this is going next, the winds we can expect, and what we could expect going forward as I break it down island by island, country by country. All locations matter. But Jamaica, we really need to be in place today. Now, out ahead of it, we've had some rain overnight, been up overnight watching everything. It's called a predecessor rain event. Sometimes you get a batch of rain breaking free. So if you've had some rain in Jamaica, again, that's not the main action, of course. It's back here. But be in place in Jamaica as we go throughout the day, of course, thinking of others. Cayman Islands by sunset, if not earlier, especially Grand Cayman. That's where we're going to see some of the bigger impacts moving in. And then this will eventually move toward parts of Mexico. I want to break down the Yucatan and over toward Belize. Breaking down the winds, and I'm kind of on the worst case scenario here, the high side to keep you prepped. You can see the winds here moving in later today. So eastern and especially southeastern end toward Kingston, winds of 110 miles per hour are possible. That would be 180 kilometers an hour just north of there, 100 mile per hour winds possible. Hoping it's less. Always hoping it's less. I don't like hurricanes. Don't wish them on anyone, and I know you don't either. 160 kilometers an hour. As you get toward, say, Falmouth, Montego Bay, winds will be near 80 miles per hour or 130 kilometers an hour. And as you get toward Black River, down through Treasure Beach, 90 miles per hour or 145 kilometers an hour. Plus, on top of the winds, we're dealing with a surge coming this way, winds on the backside coming this way. All sorts of problems all around us. The winds are going to be shifting throughout the day, and that means we're going to have that surge. That's the rise in the water. That's going to cause those issues in the coastal flooding along our coast. So here's the very latest. I was showing you those winds earlier, 145 miles per hour, 235 kilometers an hour. The next advisory, actually next couple that come out, we should see the winds going down a little bit. So on track. I don't do a video every day. I'm not here to add to the drama. You could subscribe or not subscribe. I'm here to put out the accurate information so you can stay safe. The video, for example, I had yesterday, the forecast is holding. So I'm not going to add to the drama. Don't do this for money. I don't have sponsors or anything like that. You can see Jamaica, Cayman Islands were under those hurricane warnings. We now have that hurricane watch that is up here for the Yucatan down into northern, right where we hit Belize. And then down through northern Belize, we have tropical storm watches in effect. I'll get into that angle. Now, eventually, this will hit the Bay of Campeche. I do expect it to re-strengthen into a hurricane and move toward Mexico or Texas long-term with this. So as it stands right now, this is a Category 4 hurricane, as I mentioned, moving into Jamaica later today as a Category 3, and then eventually should be downgraded to a Category 2. But downgraded, it's all relative. We're dealing with a powerful hurricane. So a major hurricane that will be working in later today in Jamaica, especially as we head toward the afternoon. I'll zoom down in a second. Here are those computer models, and these are just thin lines. You see how they are, the thin line is south of Jamaica barely, but the size of this, it's huge, as you know, as we've seen. So again, this is going to encompass Jamaica. We're all going to get those hurricane impacts in Jamaica. Then this will head toward the Yucatan south side. That's going to clip us with some tropical storm conditions in Belize. And I do believe this is going to get pulled to the north as it strengthens. Things that things that spin more get pulled more to the north if there's nothing blocking it. And I believe we'll see this kind of swinging up toward northeastern Mexico once again, where we had Alberto moving in, or more to the north, back toward Texas. This could very well swing up toward Texas. Show you that with the European model in just a second. So it's category 4. These are those squiggly lines. As we get into later today, it'll be a category 3. So you'll hear about that. We've got that major hurricane moving in. Then it'll go down a little bit further. Of course, land interaction's key. As this moves across Jamaica for us, that's going to help weaken it some going across the land. And then a little bump up in a few days. That's because once it gets into the Western Gulf, Bay of Campeche, I do expect it to re-strengthen. So here's one of the looks, and then I want to zoom down in a moment. So here we are in Haiti, still some rain bands working in. Jamaica by 2 o'clock, some of the worst weather's moving in. Here we are in the Cayman Islands, our smaller islands, our big island here. In Cuba, we'll see some of the rain on the eastern end moving in. This will work its way by tonight, start to pull out of Jamaica, but we're still going to get the rain bands on the back side. More on that in a second. And then this will start to work into the Cayman Islands tonight. That's why sunset, you need to be in place, be where you need to be for this storm in the Cayman Islands. Worse weather toward Grand Cayman, some tropical storm winds as you get to the north or northern islands. Little Cayman, for example, 85 miles away from our big island. Grand Cayman are 135 kilometers away. So that's going to make a big difference in some of the impacts. We'll go from hurricane conditions in the big island to tropical storm conditions in the smaller islands as we work our way into the Cayman Islands. So this is 2 o'clock today. Right there, that is the center of this. Right in here is the center of Beryl. So we're going to see the heaviest weather working in, the hurricane conditions, major hurricane, should be a Cat 3 at this point, Kingston, Morant Bay. And then as we pull forward, here's the center of this.
I grew up always on the bigger side as a kid.
There, that's some of the land interaction. The center will pull offshore by 7 o'clock, but hurricane conditions, especially in our western end up toward Falmouth, you can see here this is 7 p.m. And then as this pulls away by 10, yes, the core of it starts to work our way. That's good. But on the backside, it's still going to wrap in some bands of rain and storms. So even as we head toward tonight in Jamaica, please use caution. Best to stay inside if you can. We're still going to get some tropical storm conditions for tonight. So hurricane today, tropical storm conditions for tonight. Kilometers an hour and miles per hour on this map, but more so, this is a computer model. It doesn't do the best job. It just really want to show you the circulation here working into Jamaica today. This is 2 o'clock. We have that hurricane moving in, maybe a direct hit if the eye passes right on top of us, which is possible, or the eye would be just to the south. That's going to wrap in some of the worst weather of this hurricane. Hurricane's moving across. This is 5 o'clock today. Backside, we'll start to see the winds coming out of the north on our northern coast. That's going to bring in the surge and increase the winds. And then you see the core of the winds working toward the Cayman Islands by tonight. Backside of this, though, we still have tropical storm force winds in Jamaica as we, get into tonight. And then you could see this working its way toward the Cayman Islands. Here is Grand Cayman. Then you get over toward our smaller islands. This is by 11 o'clock tonight. Hurricane conditions over toward Grand Cayman tonight. And then tropical storm conditions up to the north. This is overnight. We'll get some of the worst weather for the Cayman Islands. 6 in the morning, still Grand Cayman. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be dealing with some hurricane and tropical storm impacts. And then eventually it'll start to slide away as we hit 9 o'clock. Still some tropical storm conditions in Grand Cayman, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. But then we'll see things starting to improve. Of course, watching the surge, the coastal flooding. We're going to see that flooding, no doubt, as we get toward the Cayman Islands. So here's the broader picture. Here's that blob there. My friends in St. Lucia, St. Vincent the Grenadines, Dominica, Grenada, Barbados, we'll see some extra rain around. Not seeing any organization out of that. Hoping some of the rain can lift up toward Antigua and Barbuda, since we need some rain, passing shower in Anguilla. But here is this. So this is later into the, we're going to get later into the week. This is 1 o'clock tomorrow. See the impacts in the Cayman Islands, but starting to move away. Now here's Belize. That shift we saw a couple days ago, and I was talking about yesterday, is helping out Belize. It looks like hurricane conditions will move in to the Yucatan of Mexico. Tropical storm conditions just trying to clip northern Belize. But we'll also see if the center of this moves right over Jamaica, that's going to weaken it further. And of course, that means we'll see extra weakening, and it may not be as strong as it gets toward the Yucatan. But once this gets into the Gulf of Mexico and Bay of Campeche, water temperatures, again, very warm, even though we've had a couple systems there, Alberto and Chris there, this is going to start to pull up to the north and re-strengthen. So again, Texas, northeast Mexico, this is going to get pulled to the north. Not exactly sure how far and exactly where, but that's going to lift up to the north. And watching other batches of rain, but not organized, in the Caribbean as we get into the upcoming weekend with that other tropical disturbance. So in the Yucatan down through northern Belize, we're still in action mode right around Belize City. Hopkins, for example, south of Belize City, not so much. We're more in the way of monitor mode from Hopkins back through Honduras, watching it carefully. But it looks like the worst weather would be up toward, say, Cancun, get over toward the Yucatan of Mexico, and just brushing by, clipping by northern Belize. We'll break that down further in a moment. Here's the European model showing that hit of a Beryl moving into Jamaica for today. There's that area back behind it. This is the setup and what's going on. High pressure has been to the north. That's been keeping everything right through the Caribbean and then kind of swinging back toward parts of the Gulf. High pressure has been the dominant feature. That's like a block. It's like a fence. So while these things that spin want to go north, they find windows to go north. This can't jump up to the north. So the Bahamas, for example, this is coming nowhere near the Bahamas. There's a blocker in place. And then as we work our way into tomorrow morning, this is tomorrow morning impacting the Cayman Islands. There's that area of disturbed weather. There will, by the way, be some gusty winds in the Eastern Caribbean with that disturbance moving in. It's just not organized, not a named system, watching out for some rain. And there's that area of high pressure. That's the blocker. That's the fence. So this can't lift to the north, just continues west, northwest toward the Cayman Islands. And then moving forward as we go through the day tomorrow and then into tomorrow evening, it will make its approach into the Yucatan. So tomorrow night into Friday, that's when we'll start to see some of the worst weather moving into the Yucatan, still as a hurricane as of now. That's how it's looking. Here's Belize. This is the European model again. This works into the Yucatan as we go through the day on Friday, and it will weaken once it goes over land, loses its fuel source, which is the water, and then it moves back toward the Bay of Campeche, and that's where I do expect re-strengthening. Almost all the models show a bump up in re-strengthening. I don't just look in the models. They could be so off. Check the environmental conditions. There should be strengthening. The European model drives this into northeastern Mexico, while the American model and a few other models take it more up toward the north, up toward Texas. This here is on Sunday. So Sunday into Monday, this will start to work into Mexico or start to lift up toward Texas. That's kind of the time frame there. Water temperature is so very warm, 29 degrees Celsius or 84 degrees Fahrenheit, where Beryl has moved over and where Beryl's headed. Water temperatures dropped a little bit in parts of the Gulf because of Alberto and Chris that was over there, but not enough. It's still very, very warm this time of year. And the other thing we're dealing with right near Jamaica, the wind shear is why it's weakening some or going down some. Those are the winds that kind of clip some of the storm tops of the hurricane. That's good. Wind shear is good as we go throughout the season. But on the flip side, you see that red there right near Jamaica? That is warm water and warm deep water. That is heat content. So while above our heads, we've got some good news, down below, not so much, because that is the extra fuel for this. So the wind shear is kind of battling the ocean heat content at this point. So let's break it down further. Jamaica, we have that hurricane moving in. What I was talking about 24 hours ago is right on track, almost to a T. I didn't really have to update. I've been forecasting nonstop. You can ask my family. I've been just checking this around the clock, and I haven't really changed this much. This is the worst end. This would be the highest end, but I showed you earlier. You could jump back in the video too, kind of the breakdown in the winds depending on location in Jamaica. 120 miles per hour, 190 kilometers an hour. Yes, the rain the issue, but also watching the winds and the big surge that will be working in Jamaica. We have a hurricane coming in later today. Cayman Islands, as I mentioned, the breakdown, the difference in location, 80 to 90 miles away from our northern islands versus Grand Cayman. We're going to see near hurricane conditions in Grand Cayman, and then to the north, not as much. So it's breaking that down further. Winds roughly 60 miles per hour, 95 kilometers an hour, few inches of rain, and watching that surge. There is going to be flooding. We're making those preps. We're finishing those ASAP as soon as possible in the Cayman Islands. Always want to be safe for sure. And then we'll just hope for the best. Hopefully we wake up or get over the next 2 days. It wasn't as bad as we thought or something like that. I hope that is the hope. Now the Yucatan. So as we get toward Mexico, 75-mile-per-hour winds or 120 kilometers an hour, 4 inches of rain or 100 millimeters of rain. Watching the track though in Jamaica, if the eye does move right over Jamaica, that would add to some weakening. But the Yucatan and Mexico, we're going to see a hurricane working in Thursday night. So that's tomorrow night into Friday. Now, Belize, yesterday we got some better news. That is holding. The worst weather stays to the north, but right around Belize City, we're still taking those preps. Some tropical storm conditions possible. As of now, it looks like worst weather is to the north. We get some gusty winds of 45 miles per hour, 70 kilometers an hour. Get a few inches of rain possible in our northern sections. Other spots of Belize are going to say, hey, what storm? It's not here. And yes, that is the case. Again, I like to tell you where a storm's going, but also where it's not going, so you don't have to spend time, money, resources, all that stuff, and anxiety to prepare for a storm. So we got some better news in Belize, watching it carefully. Still, some tropical storm conditions are possible, especially northern Belize. So not taking our eye off of the system. Meters here, feet over here, simply put, for my boaters, my mariners, and that's a lot of us, and thinking about where your boat is and you know, your business right along the coast. These are those giant swells working in as we'd expect. High seas, very, very high seas. Our wave heights, what we would expect in a major hurricane and a hurricane working. This is tomorrow, working toward the Yucatan. And then this here is by Friday. And then by Friday, this here, a little pickup here is because of that other tropical disturbance behind it. But by Friday, we're going to see those seas very much on the high side, to say the least, over toward the Western Gulf and Bay of Campeche. And that'll be the case as we go throughout the weekend in the Western Gulf, and still watching those seas build. A lot of active weather behind this. So we'll be breaking that down further. But of course, all eyes on what's going on with Beryl. As far as the swath of rain, these colors are off my chart. You see the black shading in there. That's 150 millimeters or 6 inches of rain. Anything other, these other colors, these reds and yellows.
Can't go? Do this to clear out stuck poop fast. On June 17th, 2019, my mom was rushed to the hospital to have a log of poop surgically removed from her colon. When she hadn't pooped in 3 days,
That's higher than that. So into Jamaica, we could get some much higher totals. But fortunately, I mentioned the forward speed on this, still moving to the west-northwest at 20 miles per hour, 32 kilometers an hour. That's okay. Some of these things can move very, very slow. At least this thing is moving. You see, again, some heavy, heavy rain. Obviously, that's going to be working in with this as we get toward Jamaica. Heaviest rain as we get toward the Cayman Islands right here. You see over toward Georgetown. You get over toward Grand Cayman. That's where some of the heaviest weather will be, and not as much as far as the higher totals up toward our northern islands. So there's that swath right there. And then eventually heading over toward Mexico. But as we work our way over the next couple days, still in the Eastern Caribbean, you see that uptick in some of the rain. We could get upwards of 75 to 100 millimeters of rain. That's with that tropical disturbance moving in back behind this. So Jamaica for today, the hurricane is moving in. Thank you for helping others, taking care of your friends and neighbors. I've been watching those comments. I'll go throughout those throughout the day, but you just be safe. Don't even worry about commenting or anything. You be safe, but let us know after how you are doing. Cayman Islands tomorrow. I mentioned the breakdown, the difference in location. Then we swing back toward Trinidad and Tobago. A little uptick in some of the rain. Not a guarantee we get some rain today. Scattered showers and storms. Higher chance, though, in Barbados with that tropical disturbance that is not organized. Same thing as we get towards St. Lucia. Rain chance about 70% in Grenada as we go through the day. And we are thinking about Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, with what happened with Beryl when it rolled through. We are all thinking of you. There's no doubt about that. You're seeing the love in those comments. Martinique, 70% chance of rain today, and about a 60% chance in Dominica as that tropical disturbance moves in. Rain chance still on the elevated side as we get toward Guadeloupe. Antigua and Barbuda, we need some rain. I'm hoping some of the showers break free and clip us by in our northeastern zones of the Caribbean. St. Kitts and Nevis, we do get it. We in Montserrat, we do get a bump up in the rain chance, Anguilla and St. Bart's, but not a guarantee. 40-50% chance tomorrow and Friday. St. St. Martin, Sabin, Statia, little bump in the rain chance. Rain chance will be higher tomorrow in Puerto Rico. Scattered storms will be around, and about a 50 to 60% chance in the British and U.S. Virgin Islands. Not a guarantee, just seeing that chance of some showers and storms. Bahamas, the heaviest weather has been down to the south. Heaviest weather, Turks and Caicos, has also been down to the south. Dominican Republic, we're watching our south side. Worst weather's moving away, but watching out for a few pockets of flooding. If you're in the DR, let me know how you're doing along our southern coast. And in Haiti, the rain chance is about to go down. This is for later today, but this morning and early today, I showed you that flooding and watching those rivers rising, those river crossings, watching that one, especially that big one, as we get toward Jacmel. Belize, rain chance, again, watch all eyes, about 50% as we get toward the end of the week. All eyes on Barrel, Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire. Hard to buy some rain, everything up and around us right now. So monitoring some of the lack of rain that we've had. Guyana, we're looking at a 60% chance. Suriname, about a 60% chance of scattered rain and storms. And looking at a 40% chance in Cuba. Eastern end, as I was showing you earlier, some of the showers trying to work in, some of the rain bands trying to work in from the very northern fringes of Barrel. Costa Rica and Panama, few areas of flooding, isolated to widespread showers and storms in Nicaragua, 30 to 50% chance the next few days. Same thing in Honduras. Again, Barrel will be staying to the north. Guatemala and El Salvador, 50% chance of rain. Pockets of flooding around Mexico City. And of course, as we get toward the Yucatan, all eyes will be on Friday with hurricane conditions moving in. 30 to 40% chance of rain as we work our way toward Colombia. 30 to 40% chance of the next few days. Not too high as we get toward northern Venezuela. Better chance of some showers nearby in Bermuda as we go throughout the day. So Hurricane Beryl moving into Jamaica today. After that, the Cayman Islands, the Yucatan on Friday, and monitoring northeastern Mexico and Texas after that, as we could see some hurricane conditions moving into that direction. So in Jamaica, Cayman Islands, we are all thinking of you today. No doubt about that. Thank you for spreading this channel just to get the correct information out there. Doing the best I can. And please, please, please be safe. Worst weather is about to move in. We're thinking of you. Have a good day ahead.
Here he is now.
Hi, I'm just trying to make sense of all this data.
Just get Sasvaya.
Sasvaya? No!
Oh, wow.
The quickest way from a billion points of data to a point of view. Sasvaya.
Maya knows how quality care can bring out a smile. Good thing Aspen Dental offers affordable, complete care all in one place with 20% off treatment plans for everyone, loving our patients unconditionally. Another way Aspen Dental is in your corner.
Right here, beyond view, is a world teeming with life, filled with microscopic wonders and mesmerizing deep-sea animals. Right here, beyond important, is our living ocean, regulating weather systems and creating food security for millions. Right here, discoveries are beyond our imagination. At Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, we're unlocking the unknown, revealing the invisible. And right here, understanding our ocean is beyond urgent. It is imperative. We must act now to better understand our living ocean beyond what we see. Join us in supporting Life Beyond. Together, we can harness science and technology to safeguard our shared home and ensure a healthier planet for generations to come.
All right, guys, thank you for watching. I will be back in a few hours. I appreciate you guys coming through, guys. Stay tuned. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.